What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to PXA Peeks at the release version of EVERSPACE. Yeah, I'm way late to the party on this one, I know. I've been meaning to cover this for quite a while, and it got pushed back like a lot of other things because life's been crazy. So I covered this in early access a while ago, and it's been out for a little bit now, actually. And they have added some things, but not a ton has changed. If you really want to know the sort of core elements of how this game works, I probably would recommend going and watching my earlier video before this one, because I'm going to focus here on more of what's changed a little bit and some other things that I've learned about it along the way. So you're going to see here that it's only going to show that I've done only 11 runs so far. So I did a lot more of that than that in the early access version, but when you upgrade to the final version, it highly recommends that you reset all your progress to trigger the story progression, because one of the things they did add in the full release of this was the story. Story so far hasn't impressed me very much. It's a series of largely static cutscenes with it's a story about cloning, and you're being pursued by an evil alien race called the Okar through a neutral zone, which is where you're trying to get to, and I don't even remember a lot of it. And the really frustrating element about this is that once you see a story cutscene, you can't replay it, as far as I can tell. Yeah, so I've seen several of them so far. You basically get a new story cutscene every time you move to a new system, or a new, not a new system, but a new sector. And once you've seen them, I don't know of a way to replay them other than completely resetting your progress, which resets all of your perk upgrades and progression and everything that makes this game a roguelite. Yeah, that's not brilliant. I don't understand why you should need to do that. You should be able to replay any story stuff that you've already seen, but as best as I can tell, you can't. So that's not brilliant right off the cuff. In terms of other things, they've added some. There's some more environmental variants, at least as far as I can tell. They've added some more content. I have found myself now, especially when I get into the later levels, being pursued by not just Okar fighters, but Okar capital ships, which maybe was always there. I'm honestly not sure. You also get things like this. You can pick up blueprints for things you can craft later, and you can also unlock ship colors, little cosmetic things, which is, I mean, kind of cool, I guess. There is a photo mode in this, which I could see that being valuable for, but for general gameplay, it really makes no difference whatsoever. They've added some more challenges that allows you to, rack up some extra dollars by completing objectives. So some of the challenges are very, very tricky to accomplish. And they've added more ships. There's only 3 ships, at least that I've seen so far. I'm not sure if there are any more, but they're basically just light, medium, and heavy ships. So this is the ship that was in the early access version that I'm playing right now. I did buy the heavier class one, which has been kind of interesting. It turns and maneuvers a lot more slowly, and it has no shields, but it has a redonkulous amount of hit points and can wreck shop with the weapons that it has. So it's kind of a trade-off in that respect. I've actually enjoyed it, but I wanted something a little more nimble for this video, so I've got that. There is also a more balanced sort of mid-class fighter, I guess you'd say, that I have not yet unlocked. You need $10,000 to unlock a new ship, and because any money that you don't spend after a run doesn't carry over into your next run, you have to earn $10,000 in a single run in order to be able to acquire that ship. So it's not something you're necessarily going to be easily able to do, but the rest of your permanent unlocks that you can achieve are not on a per ship basis, so they will come with you to future runs regardless of what ship type you choose, which is kind of nice. I do like that. I mean, this game was frankly, this game to me did early access right. It was actually fairly complete in terms of its gameplay in early access. They just added the story and a little bit more content, but by and large, the core gameplay mechanics were down. It already looked really good. I mean, this game is absolutely gorgeous. It runs on Unreal Engine 4, and despite the fact that, I mean, I'm playing this on a 1080 to be fair, but as I understand it, the system requirements for this are relatively modest, and it scales fairly well, and it looks gorgeous. I mean, it just looks absolutely wonderful. And it runs pretty well. Oh, God, I hit a guy there, and I just about got screwed. Oh, well. Yeah, it runs pretty well, and I I think it still looks amazing and still runs good. The majority of the content is still there. You know, in many ways, if you played this in early access, and in particular, if you don't care about the story, the early access version was a pretty complete game, I think. I don't actually know if you could get all the way to the end, because I never did. But it's there was still a lot of content in there, and I put a number of hours into that early access version and was still, frankly, nowhere near the end, which is a good thing. And I mean, the thing that I like about this is this game is clearly very heavily inspired by FTL in terms of the way you progress, that you have enemies pursuing you, that you are attempting to get to a certain a point to basically deliver something and warn somebody of something. Ooh, that's nice. That's a way better Gatling than I had here. So it shares a lot in common with FTL, but the thing that I like about this is, aside from the fact that it's focused, there's no crew management to do because this is a solo game. And I actually do like the fact that in many ways this is a lot chiller. You know, enemies, you will run into enemies a lot in systems. There'll be a lot of combat. There is a random chance that the Okar will show up and start attacking you if you hang around in a system too long. But, you know, a lot of the time as well, you can just chill in a system. You can take your time. You can go exploring. You can look for all the loot that you want. You can even just sort of take in the sights if you want. And it doesn't have that. It's interesting, right? Because FTL was as great a game as it was. Don't get me wrong. Even though I never beat FTL, screw that final boss. I really enjoyed that game. But the thing with FTL that was weird, at least to me, was that whoa, there's a lot of dudes in this system. The thing in FTL that was weird, at least to me, was that even though it was a pausable game where you could pause for as long as you wanted to consider your tactical decisions, it always to me felt very high pressure. It never felt like a game like you could kind of chill to, if you know what I mean. And this game, despite being real time, because it has those long periods of downtime, is kind of nice. I like the fact that you could just sort of hang back, and you know, you might have to do some combat initially, and I'm going to get wrecked actually very early in this run, I think. But that's kind of good because that means I can go back and show you the bigger ship. So I'm not actually going to try all that hard here. But you can you'll have your combat, but then once you do that, things kind of calm down and you get to hang in space and, well, hopefully not get blown up like that. But you get to go exploring, you get to do a little bit of mining if you like, you get to do all sorts of things like that, and you get to sort of chill a little bit. And I kind of enjoy that. So here's the medium, or that's actually the light. Sorry, I had the medium. Screwed that up. The interceptor is the medium, and then there's the light scout class, which obviously is very weak but very quick. And then we got the gunship. I like this guy. This guy's cool. So, and as you unlock and different enhancements, so you see I've got different colors here. Let's try this color on. So you see here we've unlocked different ship colors, so we can sort of mix things around, which is kind of neat. Actually, that's not so bad. Kind of dig that. So yeah, and so you see here that I have a loadout available. I haven't really done much with the loadouts yet. I've largely stuck with the base stuff. So you see here there's also enhancements that you can pick up by discovering glyphs. I haven't done any of this yet. But these are things that you can pick up that basically give you, they're hard to find, and I presume you find them in the later levels, but they allow you to pick up sort of permanent enhancements, and you can also, you have unlocked one of 3 loadouts for the ship. Reach Sector 4 to unlock loadout B. So you see here you'll get the opportunity to unlock different loadouts later on by getting certain objectives. So different starting layouts, which is kind of neat. Ability to customize these would have been kind of neat, but, you know, I kind of get that. And you can see here's all your different perks. So this, as far as I know, I don't think any have been added to this since early access. Don't quote me on that, I may be wrong. But I have, reveals the location of your last cloned shipwreck on the map and lets you salvage it. So you see, this allows you to go back and get a lot of your stuff later if you want, which is cool. I'm actually going to try to upgrade that because I think that would be actually kind of useful. So yeah, I've largely blown out my extra money there. So, all right, let's just, Now, here's one of the things I don't like. One of the things you're going to see me complain about a lot with this game is the interface. The UI in this is very rough, and it's kind of a bummer because it felt very early access when it was in that. Just the way, it's not that it doesn't work, it is functional, but it's not very attractive. It's, you know, it's a lot of just these basic text prompts. There's very little iconography outside of this screen. It just feels clunky and unintuitive. You can play this game with a controller if you want, because it is also on the Xbox One. I find it plays much better with a keyboard and mouse, so that's what I'm doing with it. But it works, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I think it's pretty ugly personally. So let's go on a normal difficulty run here with the heavy ship. Just think, you know, things like this, like you've got these big titles up here, and it's just, I think the text is very plain. I just, you know, the salvaging UI in particular, when you pull up to you know, a shipwreck that has stuff you can acquire. Ooh, a comm hub, that's handy. And different things like that. It's just, I don't know. I just feel the UX is very plain, and the UX feels very early access, and it's something that I really wish they could have put some more work into. But it looks like that's going to be the final thing. It doesn't impact the core mechanics or playability of the game, not at all. But for a game that looks this good, where the environments and the ships look as detailed and as just overall gorgeous as they do, it's strange to me that they seem to have put so little work into the UI, and that the UI looks so starkly plain in comparison. It's strange. And that is a complaint that I have, but you get used to it and how it works, and it's really not, it's not that big a functional deal. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, the story thing is what really bugs me. I mean, yeah, the voice acting in this game is still pretty bad. The story is, there's an interesting, you know, mechanic involving clones and, you know, weird experiments gone wrong and things like that, but it seemed fairly threadbare, and like I said, the fact that they don't give you a means to go back and revisit story that you've already seen means that I don't even remember most of it, because I only saw it once, and the first 2 or 3 cutscenes I saw right when this game first came out, and I did a practice run, and then a bunch of life stuff happened, and I couldn't come back to it for a long time, and now I don't really remember what's happening. And I sure as hell don't want to have to reset my entire progression and start the whole thing from scratch just to see a couple of cutscenes over again that I could either watch on YouTube, or I could probably just read a story spoiler in the forums. It's just weird, you know. If you're, the main thing they left out of the early access version was the story mode, and then they implemented it in a way that makes it very hard to experience and even harder to remember. It's just baffling to me why they haven't done that. And this game has had patches since, and yet it's never been, they never updated anything to give you just an option to replay cutscenes. Yeah, I don't understand. It's so strange. All right, so let's hack this thing. Oh, what's up, drones? And there we go. We got the drone server. We hacked that comm hub, which is going to reveal a whole bunch of stuff on the map for us, which is A1. One of my challenges is actually to destroy a drone by ramming it, which is actually harder than it sounds, especially in this clunker. And obviously, as you can see here, I have no shields, so, like, I ram stuff and it hurts. So that's a little bit of a thing. So here we go. So there's, you see, because I revealed the map, there's a bunch of credits, there's a bunch of stuff I can mine, there's a shipwreck over here. Shipwrecks are something I don't remember seeing in the early access version, at least when I originally covered it, and they're kind of neat because it's very, they're very random. Sometimes they're guarded, sometimes they're not, and sometimes they have stuff in them and sometimes they don't. You basically have to go to the shipwreck, blow up a bunch of containers, and hope that you get what you're looking for, which is interesting. I like that randomness of it. And I mean, obviously, this game is still a roguelite. You know, if you don't like roguelites, you're not going to like this. This game is sometimes very unfair, especially when, you know, much like FTL, sometimes, because every time you make a jump in this game to another system, you need to spend 25 fuel. Now, you can make a jump to another sector without needing fuel, but you need one to get between different systems within each sector, and sometimes the game doesn't give you enough fuel. Just like FTL, that's just the way it is. Sometimes you just don't get enough fuel, and you'll either need to attack friendlies to try to get it, you'll need to attack a friendly structure, which will get another faction on you, and, ooh, new blueprint, thank you. You'll need to, yeah, you'll need to attack, You'll need to attack friendlies. You'll need to do all kinds of unsavory things. Oh, we're scanning this shipwreck. Yeah, sometimes you'll get little text-based diary things like this that add a little flavor to the universe. They're not very well written. They're not very interesting. I generally just speed read this and then go. You always get a big batch of credits when you find one of these shipwrecks too, which is always nice, so that'll help you out. And of course, any credits you don't spend in the game carry forward with you to your next run to spend on upgrades, which is always good. And there's multiple difficulty modes here as well. You can play on an easy mode, which gives you less credits, but is obviously easier if you want to try to get to the end. There's normal, and then there's a hard mode, which gives you more credits and a greater chance of more loot, but the enemies will beat the living snot out of you. I got killed in 2 systems when I tried to play our mode on hard. Hard is hard, which is fine. You know, that's people want that kind of thing, so I think that's great for them to have something like that in there. But yeah, I mean, I still like this. I do really like the variance between the ships. I like the fact that the heavy ship like this has incredibly different weapons. The fusion blaster and the flak cannon are really cool. The Gatling turret I don't use as much as I should, so this is the flak cannon, which is kind of cool. There's like shotgun weapons and other things like that as well. The Gatling turret I don't use as often as I should, but it's really handy. It's literally an automated turret that will just help take enemies out if you're surrounded by them. Very good in a ship like this that doesn't have any shields, obviously. And it can be quite handy in that respect. I like the fact that the pacing varies up and down. You know, it can go from action to sort of chill exploration in a very short period. People who might want one or the other, who either want a more chill exploration game or a much more combat-focused game, may get frustrated by that change in pacing. I personally like the variance myself. I think it's a cool way to sort of have highs and lows in which you're supposed to focus on very different things. But this also doesn't feel like it evolved a lot from early access. It was a good game in early access, and it still is a good game. Oh, hey, Okar, how's it going? So yeah, I hung out here for a certain amount of time, and the Okar found me, and they showed up, and there's way too many of them there for me to deal with effectively. So I'm gonna get the F out of here. Except I have to stay... Oh, no, they're shooting me, and they're damaging my weapons, or they're damaging my systems, so it's actually impeding my ability to jump. So I'ma probably get wrecked here. Yeah, this isn't working well at all. And my secondary weapons are damaged, so I can't do any missiles. So kamikaze! There we go. Oh, this is the way this game is. And of course, again, this is a roguelite. If you don't like a game that's going to beat the crap out of you and make you come back for more, this ain't going to change your mind. That's for dang sure. But I enjoy it. I just, you know, as someone who appreciates a nice UI, I really wish they would have done better work with that than they did. I think the UI could have been much better than it is. I think the story is generally pretty forgettable. I think the writing's not that good. I think the voice acting's not that good. I think... Yeah, so here, let's expand this out so you can sort of see the difference here between easy, normal, and hard. I like the fact that it's doing this as well. There is also apparently, I believe it's coming, a hardcore mode, which I guess just means you get one run to do the whole story and you don't get to keep any upgrades, which sounds like it would be near impossible because I've put some upgrades into my ship already and I'm still getting my ass beat. So I'm not exactly sure how that would work, but again, more choice is always good, and you know, people who are into this genre are really into this genre and really do like games that are challenging, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. And yeah, I mean, it looks incredible. I really love how it looks, and I love a game that can do real pretty space, and they definitely did that here. You know, it's a very good first effort from Rockfish Games. This was a Kickstarter. I did not back it, but this was a Kickstarter, and they delivered, which is nice because I'll tell you what, a lot of Kickstarters either don't deliver or don't deliver nearly what they promised. And from what I can tell, the fans and backers of this are generally pleased with what they got. which is great. I hope they get a chance to make another game. If they ever do an EVERSPACE 2, there are some improvements I would definitely like to see made, especially in the UI department, but they got a really good first effort here, and there's nothing quite like this. I've covered a redonkulous amount of roguelites on this channel lately, roguelikes and roguelikes, and they keep coming out every day, but the ones that really stand out to me are the ones that do something cool with a genre that you haven't really seen before. And that's very much what this one is. They took the sort of... They took some of the neat parts about FTL, gave it almost a Wing Commander-like vibe, though, I mean, a sim this ain't. I mean, you've seen how I've been controlling this. A space sim, you know, if you want if you want Elite Dangerous or even something like Wing Commander, you're not going to get that here. There's no doubt about that. But you're definitely going to get... this is definitely an arcadey space game, to put it mildly. But that's okay, too. And... there's nothing really like this. You know, a roguelite that takes place in space, that's designed to be played in runs, and that's designed to be controlled in a very casual way like this. It's, no one's done anything like this. And I think it's very cool, and I think the core mechanics are good. I think you're going to want to come to this for the mechanics. I think if you're coming to this for the story, you're probably going to be pretty disappointed. But I like what they did, and... yeah, though it's got some rough edges, I think this is absolutely well worth the money. I could see myself putting quite a number of hours into this, and will I ever finish it? I don't know. I made it one of my roguelite stretch goals for Extra Life last year, and I didn't actually meet it, but maybe I'll try it again this year. Who knows? That would be kind of cool. We'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, that is EVERSPACE, published and developed by Rockfish Games in, well, 2017 is when it came out of Early Access anyway. It's approximately $30 US. It is available on the PC, Mac, and Xbox One. I'm not sure if a PS4 version is slated or not. At least from what I can tell right now, there isn't one. You can play this with a controller. I don't like it nearly as much. I think it's far more precise with a keyboard and mouse. But if you have an Xbox One, you can definitely play this there, and it would be a good time. And, yeah, if you want a unique roguelike and you like space games, there's definitely nothing else like it. And the improvements that could be made are relatively minor ones and don't detract from what is otherwise, from a mechanics perspective, a really good time. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That does help me out a great deal. If you want to watch something else, check out the videos on screen now, and don't forget to follow @PXA Media on Twitter to find out about new stuff first.